Hello, this is Jeff Christensen from the ISU Career Center, and today I'm going to talk about how to write a resume. A resume is just a summary of your education and experience that you can use to show an employer how you were qualified for a position, so they'd be interested in calling you in for an interview. We're going to use this sample today to go over some of the main components of a resume, and all of the handouts I will be using are accessible on our Career Center website at isu.edu/career. There are many common sections of a resume, but there are three that are essential. One is your contact information, two is your education, and three is your experience. Everything else is just an option. Let's start with contact information. Throughout the resume, use about 11 or 12-point font, but have your name a little bit bigger and bolder. Use an 18 or 20-point font so it stands out because this is your marketing document. Notice we don't have our full street address here, just Pocatello, Idaho. This is because they're not going to mail you anything to begin with. They're either going to email you or call you. Leaving off this information also helps protect you from identity theft. Having a good phone number and a professional email address is essential on a resume. It's important to have your voicemail set up on your cell phone with professional recording and that your voicemail box is not full so potential employers can leave a message. This is a small detail, but it can potentially cause a job seeker to lose an opportunity because the employer moved on to another candidate they could actually get a hold of. Underneath contact information is usually education. Unless your experience is more relevant to the position you're applying for, which in that case the experience section would come first and education would be next. For most students, education would be first since education would be the most relevant section to an employer who is hiring a new graduate. When writing a resume, everything depends on the job posting you're applying for. The number one rule on resumes is to tailor your resume specifically to the job posting. The more tailored your resume is to the position you're applying for, the better your chances are of getting an interview, which is what gets you the job. With education, write out the full name of the degree you're working on. So here we have Bachelor of Business Administration in Management and Marketing. Idaho State University, Pocatello, Idaho, and the expected graduation date. If you already have another degree, you can put it below with the graduation date. If you attended another school but didn't get a degree, you can either leave off the experience or just write the name of the school and location and attended from this date to this date. Once you've been to college for a semester or two, you don't need to include high school information on your resume. You can also add your GPA as an option if it is around 3.0 or above. Anything lower than that won't impress an employer, so just leave it off. Under education, you can also add any licensure or certifications you've received that was part of your educational experience. Now, let's talk about experience. Notice how I'm not calling it work history or employment. This is because experience can be any opportunity you have had that has helped you gain valuable skills related to the world of work. It can be paid jobs, school clubs and organizations, volunteer experiences, internships, school projects, and athletics. School projects are great to include because they relate to what a student does in school to the tasks required by employers in the workplace. With each experience, include three things: what, which is your title, where, which is the organizational location, and when, which is the date of the experience. Here we have our experience section, and this sample is formatted to have the what, the title vice president, bold and underlined, the where, organization and location, which is ISU Marketing Association, Pocatello, Idaho, right underneath that, and when, the dates, May 18 to present, on the right side for some nice balance to the page. Notice the consistency with each experience. The what, where, when, with bullet points under each one explaining what was learned or accomplished. How you format your resume is up to you, as long as you include these things and do it consistently with each experience, so it is easy to read very quickly. On average, employers scan over resumes between 10 and 30 seconds before they put them in the yes or the no pile. Nice professional formatting with relevant details can help the employer find the information they need quickly to put your name in the yes pile. On this sample are some of the different experiences that students might have to show how they can be written to match a job posting. We have a school club or association, a class project, an internship, and a paid job. All of these are tailored to this job posting from the resume handout packet. As mentioned before, the most important rule in writing a resume is to tailor it to the job posting. So I'm going to show you some specifics on how to do that. On this job posting for a marketing manager position, They're looking for someone who can lead the marketing team in making decisions with social media campaigns to increase sales and website traffic. On the resume, we want to make sure we are addressing that bullet point. So under our class project experience, our first bullet says, manage a team of 5 students to create a social media campaign for a local business to enhance their online presence. The third bullet down says, increased company website visits by 55% through marketing on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. Next, the employer wants the person to manage the office payroll, scheduling, and training for employees. Now, we didn't do those things as a student, but in the assistant manager position, we managed the schedule, training, and payroll for 15 employees after being promoted from cashier. So you can see the bullets on the resume are very specific to the bullets on the job posting. And this is what I mean by tailoring a resume. If you're applying for 5 different jobs, you'll have 5 different resumes. Now we'll talk about how to write the bullet points. They're probably the hardest part to write, but they are the most important part of a resume. For the bullet points, we want to use what are called action result sentences to show the action or task accomplished and the positive outcome or result. For number 1, we have chaired a committee, which isn't really given much information or detail. The common mistake people make when writing a resume is they assume the employer knows what they've done without giving much information. All an employer can go by is what you give them. As we add more action and we include a nice solid result, number 4 becomes chaired a successful promotional committee that resulted in a 30% increase in ticket sales. Maybe number 1 increased sales by 80%, which would probably make them a better job candidate, but we don't know since they didn't tell us. Number 4 gives much more information and detail, so if I was an employer and I got this resume, I would be more likely to call that person in for an interview. When trying to tailor a resume, sometimes students struggle because they're applying for jobs they don't have much real-world experience in. So in order to help their resume match the job posting, it is good to include school projects that relate to the job or industry, in addition to using transferable skills or soft skills. These skills, such as communication, work ethic, teamwork, can be used in any job. These skills can be put in the action part of the sentence to show how and where you've gained or used them. This is an effective way to match your experience with the job. Finally, let's talk about reference sheets. They go on a separate page, not on the resume. Only include one if the job posting asks for it. Otherwise, just have one prepared if the employer requests it later on in the hiring process. Good references include professors, employers, managers or supervisors, and coworkers. Always ask for permission before putting someone on your reference sheet. Tell them what you're applying for, give them a timeline of when they may be getting a call from the employer, and if you can, give them a copy of your resume so they have a guide to use when answering questions about you. Make sure you ask your references how they prefer to be contacted and include that information on the reference sheet along with their name, title, and where you work with them. Use the same format on your reference sheet that you have on your resume, so it's like a continuation of the same document. You have your same header at the top and references in the same format as your other categories, and include the references in block format either on the left or the center of the page. Thanks for watching. For additional resume help, please contact the ISU Career Center at 208-282-2380.